Some of my videos require images that are from the 1970s. One example is this image of Waltrip High School in Houston, Texas, that I'm using for my last video of my 1970s serial killer series. If you look at the picture, you'll see that there is a tiny little problem. Actually, there are two tiny little problems. One's not that well, yes, I guess it is. It is an SUV. But these are not 1970s cars. In previous videos, what I would do is I'd use the photo anyway. But now that I'm trying to become an Affinity Photo 2 expert, that just won't fly. The first thing I'll need to do is, actually, that's not the first thing I need to do. The first thing I need to do is to make a duplicate of this background layer, and then I'll turn this other one off. This is going to be the one that, just in case I mess this up and have to do it over again, I'll use. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get rid of this car, and we want to get rid of this car since they don't fit into the early 1970s mode. I'm really not sure if this is what Waltrip looked like back in the 1970s, but I'm not going to be able to do that much about that anyway. But we can get rid of the cars. Okay, so I'll go over here and select the inpainting brush tool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint over the car. We've done this anyway, but I think one thing that I didn't point out when I used the inpainting brush tool before is that you really need to get out the outside of the car. And the reason for that is because it is sampling pixels from outside of the car so that it knows what to replace the car with. So we'll paint over that and make sure that we get everything in here. Okay, so that car disappeared nicely. Sometimes what will happen, and might happen to you, is that if you're close to something like this, like a curb or something that is aligned, it might do some weird things like unalign your curb and stuff like that. Okay, now let's get rid of this SUV back here. So we'll just paint over that so that we can get rid of it. Make sure we get rid of the shadow too. And so we're rid of that. Now we've got a parking lot without any cars in it. I was going to leave it like that because I was going to show you just, how you get rid of stuff like that from the photos, but I think we need to make this more time accurate. So I have over here a picture of a 1971 Mercury Montego with dice in the front. I don't remember back in the 1970s if they had dice back in those days, but fortunately for us, you won't be able to see the dice. So I'm going to select the car and copy it over to the parking lot. Okay, so I need to use the selection brush tool, and I think I'll make that a little bigger. Okay. And I'm going to select, that might have been too big, a lot of the car. Now what I want to do in this case is I'm also selecting the shadow below the car, because if you have a car sitting in the parking lot and it doesn't have a shadow underneath it and the sun's out, it's going to look more than a little strange. So we need to make sure that we select all that. So we get that selected. And once we have all of our cars selected, we'll clean this up a little bit because see what happened out here? So what we do is we just select the subtract up here, and we'll just subtract a lot of this out. Okay, we don't want that. Now let's see if it's good enough for government work. We're going to have to do some cleanup on aisle 9 later on. Oh, we don't want to leave that there. Let's see if we can select more of the hood. Okay, so now that we have that selected, then we're going to go up to Refine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to Selection and select New Layer with Mask and Apply. Now remember, in order to see it, we have to turn this off. And as you can see, we've got quite a bit of, well, not quite a bit. This car is going to be pretty small, so you won't have to clean up a lot of it. But see all this black stuff out here? We're going to try to get rid of a lot of that, and I'm going to do that using the lasso tool. So I'm going to lasso some of this black stuff out of here. You're going to find that once we put the car over there, you won't really see a lot of it anyway. And how much cleanup you want to do, of course, on your pictures, on your images, is going to be up to you. If I was using this for like a project or something, I would spend a lot of time on it, but I don't think you want to be sitting there watching me lasso a lot of stuff or using the brush tool and all that stuff in order to clean this stuff up. There are a variety of ways that you can get rid of a lot of this. So we're going to get some of this out of here. Okay, so I think we have, yeah, that's not great, but that's what we're going to go with. Okay, so now that we've got some stuff cleaned up, you'll go down here and go Edit, Copy, and then go over here to Waltrip, and then Edit and Paste, and you have yourself a car that's like right in the middle of the sky. So we will make that car the appropriate size and sit it in the parking lot so that it looks like that it's parked, I don't know, maybe that should be a little smaller, so that it looks like it's parked outside the school. And as you can see, the shadow is still here, and that's why I brought it over. If you want to put it in a parking space, you can always do that. And the way you can do that is by rearranging it. So if you right-click on your mouse, over here you have Transform. And with the Transform, you have all these handy-dandy little selections, rotate left, right, horizontal, all that. We're going to flip it horizontally, and then we're going to move it over, and we are going to back it into this space right here. Let's make that a little bit smaller. We were lucky that it slanted perfectly. Even if it wasn't slanted perfectly, right here, you've got a rotation button. So you can rotate that around and make it, fit in there. So it's not like the only thing you can do is to flip it and put it in there. So you can put it anywhere in the parking lot you want. So now we have the high school with a year-appropriate car sitting in it. Now, I'm not going to do this right now, but I'll tell you, if I were using this picture, and unfortunately I did, and didn't really do anything with it, but there is some stuff right here that really looks kind of odd, all this blurry stuff right there. So I would have cleaned that up, and so on. Also, keep in mind that if you have shadows and all that stuff, sometimes you're going to have to do some work to make it look realistic. So if I were going to spend more time on this, I would have taken more of that dirty stuff from around the car, fixed up this back here, and you can do that by using the clone tool, and that's going to be in my next video. I'll show you how to use that. So, this is Waltrip High School with a 1971 Mercury Montego sitting in front of it. And our picture is now time appropriate. Okay, so hopefully you got something out of this. And remember to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you'll be up to date on my next video. I've been trying to put out one a week. I was putting out 2 a week, but I have a job assignment, so I'm doing that also. So here you go, making a picture time appropriate.